You guys know Alex, right? Alex Fisher Wagner. He's a friend of mine. Anyways, the other day I FaceTimed him, and when he picked up, he was like, "Oh, hey, I'm actually preparing a turkey right now. Yeah, wrapping this thing in bacon." I was like, "Oh, hey, you ever think about that? Do turkeys like come out of each other, or how does that work?" And he was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Yeah, you ever think about like how turkeys are born?" And he was like, "Well, they're a bird, so eggs." I was like, "Right, okay, but have you ever seen a turkey egg?" And he was like, "No, no, I can't say I have." I was like, "Exactly, yeah." And I was like, "It's a bird, right?" I think governments created turkeys. I mean, government created birds, right? Because birds are fake, right? But no, also turkeys. I think this is only giving more legs to this theory that the government controls birds because every year they pardon a turkey. What does that even mean? Hmm? It's just a big front to be like, look, we're cool with turkeys. I'm like, yeah, because they're robots that you made. Ooh, got him. But yeah, isn't that a weird thing? You ever think about that? I've never really thought about turkeys being born because we've dehumanized them enough to be like, we're going to eat this thing on Thanksgiving. It's not even good meat. It's not tasty meat. Yet we've dehumanized them so much to be like, well, we're going to eat this at least once a year, you know? But we don't even know what they come from. At least, we can all have that memory from high school, Food Inc., right? Where they show us how they butcher chickens. And then we're like, okay, well, now I don't feel as bad when I eat chicken wings. But with a turkey, no emotions. There's no emotions on the palate and no emotions mentally. Because, first of all, I don't know how they kill these things, okay? Nothing in the brain. And then nothing on the tongue, no taste buds, because guess what? They're flavorless. Turkey doesn't taste like shit. Turkey's like if, turkey is like a cartoon meat. That's what a cartoon meat tastes like. It's meat. That's the only way you can describe turkey. It's just like meat. I feel like turkey tastes like the color beige. Like if you were to eat the color beige, you'd be like, yeah, that's what turkey tastes like. But I was like, no, that's a good point, right? Like we know that turkeys come from eggs, but have you ever seen a turkey egg? So, yeah, I have a college degree. So, I'm asking the important questions here. Anyways, related to Alex, a month or so ago back, I went over to his place for a party. I think I talked about it in my last podcast episode. Yeah, it's been a month since my last episode. I'm sorry. You know what it is? I'm going to blame it on you. That's right. I'm going to I'm going to turn this on you. I didn't get that many likes on the last episode. That's why I didn't make one in a month. That's right. Was it because of my own shortcomings that I haven't posted an episode? Sure. But I'm going to turn this one right back on you and say this is your fault. That's right. I'm going to emotionally abuse you. That's the kind of relationship we have, right? I hope so. So, yes, make sure you like this episode or else I'm going to disappear again for a month, okay? Please do that. But a month ago, I was talking about, oh yeah, I went over to Alex's for his birthday party and I met some group of people. Well, guess what? I was on the same FaceTime call with him. He mentioned, oh, hey, you remember Gabe, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, Gabe's been asking about you. I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, he likes you. I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, yeah. He's wondering when can he see you again? I was like, oh. I was like, that's so nice. That's like a really nice thing to hear. There's nothing better. I mean, there's a few things better, like brown sugar cinnamon crepes. You ever have one of those? Those are pretty good. But there's probably, it rivals the feeling of hearing from a mutual that someone likes you. Because that's a thing they don't have to say, Gabe, there's nothing, Gabe, if you're watching, hi. But there's no reason Gabe has to say a nice thing about me. He told Alex, oh yeah, I like Gauruv. Like he even said I was funny, which, he should probably go get his brain checked. But he said, Garv's funny. He's enjoyable to be around. When can I see him again? I was like, oh my God, that's crazy because it's like he doesn't even need anything from me, right? That's just a pure, like, I like the guy. And that's so awesome because I like Gabe too. That's always really nice when you hear, you meet someone for the first time and then the reason that you met this other person, the mutual, you talk to them and they're like, hey, by the way, that person was a fan. And you're like, oh, really? Oh, that's great because I liked that person. That's always the best. And it also says something about you, right? Because when a person you likes you, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm glad that person is like co-signing this. one of the worst things is if you go to a party, you know, and then you hear from your mutual, oh yeah, you remember that person that you met at that party? You're like, yeah, they really like you. And it's like, oh no, they do? Because what does that say about me? You ever have that? You ever have someone likes you? You ever have someone that likes you and then you're like, oh God, what does that say about me? You ever hear that? Some people's applause and like compliments and like, you know, it doesn't, it maybe isn't the greatest thing. You ever hear that? Like, when certain people cheer you on, you got to maybe take a step back and be like, wait a minute, what am I about if that's who I'm getting cheers from? You know, if that's the person that's co-signing this, you're like, uh-oh. That's why sometimes I get a little bummed out. You know, you always see a friend of yours, they enter a relationship, and then you see their partner, and then you're like, oh, huh, that's what you're going with, you know? And then it sucks because you don't have any control, but then your respect for that person kind of dwindles and you're like, fuck, I wish this didn't happen. But it's because the person that they chose as a partner is kind of like, you know, it's a reflection of their character. By them agreeing to be in a relationship with that person, you know, it kind of says something about them, right? You ever see that? Where it's like, you know, if you're friends with a bad person, well, you're choosing to be friends with a bad person. So it's like if you hang out around them, it's basically you being like everything they say I agree with. Now, that's not true, of course, but I think I talked about this in a very old podcast episode, but I talked about how that's why I have trouble calling people my friends because I don't want anyone around me to be accountable for some fucking weird shit I say. I feel like I say some weird shit sometimes. So if anyone's like a friend of mine and then I say some weird shit, I don't want a mutual of ours to be like, oh, you like Gauruv? Because he was asking me how turkeys are born the other day. You're friends with that weirdo? I never want anyone to be in that kind of position, okay? That's why I use the term friends very sparingly, because it makes me very uncomfortable. It seems like a very big commitment. That's why in my most recent video, by the way, 11 ways my life has changed since I graduated college, make sure you go watch it. People are really enjoying it. I'm really glad. I got a lot of messages about it. Not like comments on the video, but like people messaging me, being like, oh, hey, I watched the video, nice. I'm like, oh, yeah? They're like, yeah. So you want to go axe throwing? I'm like, oh, here we go. But in that video, you know, one of the things I say is the people I know, aka friends, don't live in the same city or town I do. That's why I fucking do little weird shit like that. Because even in a video format like that, I'm not comfortable being like, oh, I have friends. I never want anyone to have the burden of being my friend. You know, that's why it's a very uncomfortable term for me. It seems like a lot of commitment, and then you could be like, Gauruv, it's not. But one thing I found is that if I am not too close to you, I actually feel very comfortable being like, yeah, that's my friend. Like the girl I sat next to in 7th grade for one class, I have no problem being like, oh yeah, no, yeah, we're friends. Yeah, Kayla and I, we're friends. I've talked to Kayla twice. We're not friends, but I have no problem being like, yeah, Kayla and I are friends, because but someone that like, you know, I've been friends with for fucking 7 years or some shit. If someone's like, yeah, you guys are friends, right? I'm like, well, you know, but like we know each other and we're like cool, but we don't like hang out that much. It's not like a big thing, you know. It's like I feel so uncomfortable. Like the closer a relationship I have with someone, the more, you know, I treat it with a lot of fragility, you know, or it's a very fragile thing. I don't want to fuck it up. And then I get in a tough position, right? Because it's like the people I love and care about the most, I'm like, I don't want to like reach out to, because I'm like, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to annoy you. But then it's ridiculous. You know, I've talked about it with people. I've tried to work it out where it's like, yeah, that's all in your head, Gauruv. That's fucking ridiculous. But that's the thing. The closer I am with you, the more, you know, it's scared. Basically, I'm scared of commitment, right? Is that all it is? I don't want to hurt anyone that's close to me, okay? So I just slowly phase away from the ones I love. Man. Anyways, I'm really glad to hear that Gabe likes me. That's a really cool thing, because it's like, it makes me feel good about what I'm putting out in the world, because I really like Gabe. And so for him to be like, oh, Gauruv's cool, I'm like, yes, that's my demo right there. That's the people I want to like me. Yeah, you ever say some shit online and then you start getting some cheers that are a little too loud from a certain crowd and you're like, uh-oh, am I saying the right thing? Yeah, you ever tell a joke? Here, I'll keep it topical. You ever tell a joke at Thanksgiving and then that one uncle, well, shit, no, I have an uncle I like, damn it. This isn't related. If you're watching this, I'm not talking about you, but You ever go to, I'm talking about the classic trope of like racist uncle, that one. But yeah, you ever go to Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then you tell a joke at the dinner table, and then that one uncle laughs, and you're like, uh oh. That's not good because I know what makes him cheer, and I don't want to be saying the things that he likes. There's some people that I have a couple people in my life that I'm like, uh oh, if they're praising the things I'm saying, I shouldn't be saying the things I'm saying. You know those people? And then there's other people where you're like, when they start giving me praise, you're like, okay, my life is going in the right direction. This is good. This is how I should be. And I know now you're like, oh, Garv, you sheep, you 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 govern your own words based on the opinion of others. Of course I do. I'm not gonna shy away from that fact. But it's the people that I choose to take input from that matter. I'm not taking input from everyone. I put myself online. There's plenty of opinions that I am purposely choosing to disregard, and then there's other opinions that I pay extra attention to because I'm like, okay, well, I got to do right by these people. Not because I'm just going to follow blindly what they say, but because I value these people and their opinions. I respect them. I have that R word for them. It's a very special word, respect. And so I don't want to say something that would not agree with their morals because for the most part I agree with them and I respect their morals. So when you ever, you hear from a mutual, like, oh, that person you just, had a first impression with, you're all good. And you're like, fuck yeah. Because that's the thing, a first impression, it's a very, I really like a first impression. It's really cool because this is a person that's lived just an entire life. That always trips me out, right? You ever look at people in public, you're like, that's a person. Like they just have an entire life. So it's crazy to like meet a person and then to be like, wow, you have an entire life behind you. That's why it's always been crazy to me. Like when you meet a person and then they just talk about themselves, I have no problem with it because that's what I prefer. But it's always crazy when a person just talks about themselves. I'm like, you're taking up so much airspace. Like you don't want to learn about the other person. I thought about this. If you met a new person every single day of your life, you would still not have met billions of people in the world. You can meet just thousands of people every day and still not even scratch the surface of talking to every person in the entire world. Isn't that crazy? Yet when you meet someone, you're like, oh yeah, I got a dog. I got a fucking, yeah, this is really hard in my life. Yo, you're clogging the airspace, bro. Shut the fuck up and open your ears. You have so much like new, it's like a fucking new movie. It's like a new book. It's a whole new story that you just been presented with. And yet you want to retell your fucking boring shit. Bro, get out of your own way, okay? That's why I always prefer to listen. Mostly, because I don't want people knowing things about me, but because I feel like everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has, an entire life to them. I want to hear it. It's very interesting to me. That's the thing, people always talk about it. It's like once you strip away all the bullshit in life, like money and blah, 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 it's all about the human connection. That's what you can't stray too far from. And that's what keeps, the humans sane. That's the one tough thing about the human condition, right? We have to talk to other humans. I struggle with that, man. I don't struggle with the action. I just struggle with the everything leading up to the action. Once I start talking to a person, I'm the most comfortable. It just takes a lot for me to get there, It has to be a very set up thing, Someone has to like throw on an event and then like invite me and then I got to be like, oh, yeah, maybe. And then they got to like tell me again, like, you should go. And I'll be like, well, I'll think about it. And then they're like, so you come in? And I'm like, you twisted my arm. It takes a lot. Every social interaction, there's a lot of barrier of entry. But once I'm in, I feel great. And you can be like, Garv, that's fucking, then why don't you just go to things if they always end up being great? I'm like, yeah, no, that's a good point. Well, that's too logical. The fuck are you talking? No, if I did everything logically, what, would I just make good decisions in my life? How do you keep things interesting then, huh? You got to do a lot of illogical shit. Or else life's too simple, right? Or else then what? I'm just happy? Kind of quality of life is that, huh? You need to change it up a little bit. You got to have your peaks and dips, right? Your ebbs and flows. You can't just be happy. That's the reason. That's why I make myself so miserable all the time, because I want to be happy. Well, Gaurav, some you got to spend some time being happy. No, I know that. That's okay. I'm just trying to bank a lot of miserableness so that I can, cash it in for some happiness later. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. Just completely pivoting to another topic. Please, for the love of all things sacred, stop calling babies delicious. That's the most terrifying shit of my life. I saw this on social media, and I've seen it in real life too. But most recently, I saw it on Facebook. This girl I went to high school with has a son, and she posted a picture of her and her son, and she was like, "My little angel," or some shit. And then some mom like commented on her post, and she said, "Oh, he's so cute. He is just so delicious." I fully just, I closed up into myself. I was like, stop that. Stop saying those words like that. It's so weird to talk about kids like food, like, oh, I'm just going to eat you up. Huh? Oh my God, you are so delicious. Man, where is, I can't say, I'm going to make up a name. Rebecca. Where is Rebecca's kid? Man, I am hungry. And that little boy is a fucking little appetizer, isn't he? Huh? I don't like how specific you're being. You see the baby? Oh, look at you. I could just cut all your toes up, put it in a pot, cut up some asparagus, throw it in there. Maybe boil some water, put some, vegetable oil, maybe put some chili, spices. I think that'd be good. Bro, that's a recipe at that point, okay? You got to calm down. I could just reheat you at 350 and eat you up. What? I don't, stop doing that. And you got to think about it, right? There's a certain age where that gets fucking weird, right? There's a certain age where you can't look at a kid and be like, "Oh, you're just so delicious," because then the kid's parents like, "Okay, stop. Hey, come on. We're not. Don't talk. Don't look at them." Because that's fucking. You don't say that to a kid. And I wonder, it's a gray zone, right? It's different with every like kid because different kids like you could be like, I don't even know when like those little things that you should know, like when does a human learn to speak? When does a human learn to walk? When do you send a kid to preschool? That one's probably, you can probably just look that up. But like, when is a human expected to know how to talk? Like I would milk that shit for a long time, because then you got to talk for the rest of your life. So I would try to like bank as much not talking as I can do until I had to, until I got to preschool and they're like, do you want extra pretzels? Then I'd be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, man. That's when words come in handy. I don't think you need words before that. The first time you should speak is you being like, can I get more food? I'm like growing. I'd like more food. But before that, you don't need words. You don't need to say stupid shit like a dog. Kids always do that, right? Babies, they always just see a thing and they're like, plant. And you're like, okay. What do you want it? Like what? Plant. And you're like, okay. You're just I can go get it. It's over there. You have hands too. You could probably go get it, but if I could do it, I'll be nice. I'm a nice guy. Sky. I'm like, yeah, you're an observant one, huh? Yeah, kids just say shit that they see. And sometimes people don't mature out of that. I meet some people, in their 20s, and, we're on a road trip, and they're like, cow. And I'm like, yeah, good one. Okay. No, that's the thing every human does. Anytime you see a cow, you got to say it. You have to. You guys see that cow? Yeah. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah. Same with goats. You got to see those. You see the goats? There's certain animals you just got to be like, you see that? I went to Alaska a few years back. You got to see, you see the moose? You got to point it out. You have to. It's human. Like it's a law. It's an unwritten rule, You would think you'd be in the Bill of Rights, but it's just a thing you should just know it. Okay? I don't think we need to make it formal legislation. You should just behave like you should. It's simply etiquette. That's all it is. Pointing out when you see a cow, when you see a goat, when you see a moose, it's the right thing to do, It's kind of like if you open a door and someone's close behind you and you hold it open for them. It's the right thing to do. Okay. There's no rule that says you have to, but But yeah, there's a certain point where a kid's gonna grow up and you're gonna be like, oh, aren't you just so delicious? And they're gonna be like, what the fuck? And you're like, oh wow, okay, quite a vocab on you. Holy shit. It's like, yeah, you now okay. Have you been saying that? When I'm 6, right? Have you been saying that for 6? What the fuck? Bro, you need to do some soul searching. What are you calling babies delicious? Oh. That's fucking gross. That's weird. You go to a buffet and you're like, man, this shit looks delicious. Then you salivate. You salivate when you see me? Ugh. Yo, mom, get this fucking freak away from me, man. But please, stop calling kids delicious. And that's a wild thing to do on Facebook, of all places. You're fucking putting that shit in stone. You wrote that out, probably misspelled it. It had the little red dots under it, the red line. Then you fix the spelling. And then you proofread it. And then you hit enter. And you're like, that's a good decision. And if if you've said, that baby looks delicious, you've said it before. That's not a thing. I know how old this commenter was. She's too well into her life to be saying that shit for the first time. You don't get to her age and be like, I'm gonna try to call a baby delicious. She's got her miles in. She's thrown down quite a few deliciouses. Okay. She's thrown around a few delicious comments on some infants, She's, oh God, I hate that. It's the most gross thing. I could just eat you up. What? Oh, I don't like that. I feel like I have to call someone now, right? You should be in trouble. I don't know what, like your credit score should go down or something. I don't know. There's something like your insurance should go up. I don't know. I don't like that you're getting away with this, I don't like it. It's like, you ever see that when a guy like calls a girl like honey and then he like touches her lower back? No, you should, you're not going to get in trouble, but I feel like you should. I don't like it. It's weird. It's fucking weird. Where is that little caramel morsel? Okay, that's borderline racist at that point, Would you call every baby a caramel morsel? Why are you calling me a caramel morsel, huh? Why can't be a white chocolate morsel, huh? Where is that yummy little boy? Ugh. Do you have a full-time job? I feel like you should lose it. You shouldn't be able to say shit like that. That's weird. You make adult decisions? Like you get up and make your bed every day? I bet you don't. You're wanted in a few countries, right? There's no way you're just a legal citizen walking around being like, ooh, that's a delicious baby. Huh? Also, you got to think about, right? The girl I went to school with, does she read that and be like, that's nice? Like, I'd be so uncomfortable. If I have a kid, like later in life, like, and someone was like, oh, look at this delicious little guy. I'm like, hey, I know we've known each other for 9 years, but you're done. Okay? That's it. There's no. You're on a list. Okay? You've made the list, and that's not a good thing. Okay? If I want to put it in childish terms, like you consider yourself on the naughty list, motherfucker. Okay? Because no, you don't get to call my kid delicious. Get out of here. I would be so uncomfortable. Like, do you feel good about that as a parent? I wouldn't. If someone was like, that's a delicious little baby, I'd be like, oh. That's not even an interesting word to call food. Like, if you made a meal for someone and then they ate it and you're like, how was it? And they're like, oh, delicious. I'm like, okay. But more specifically, to die for. Okay, but like what? Did you like how creamy it was? Like, did you see what I did? I made a little crunch in there. Did you see that? Oh my God. It was delicious. Yeah, no, so you've said that. But you could say that about anything. You could say that about a $2 soft serve. Say something interesting. Oh yeah, it was tasty. Oh, I don't like that more. I hate that even more. That's not creative at all. So then why would you see a human? A human is so much different than like a pasta you would make. A pasta, you look it up, you spend a day learning how to make it, you make it. It's not that hard, okay? It's 3 hours, 4 hours of work? I don't know. Like if you really want to master it. A baby, you know how much work goes into making a baby? Just for you to be like, that's a delicious baby. No. No, shut up. Be more specific. That might be a little more creepy, but it means more. Be like, oh, he has your eyes. Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Thank you for being so observant. But don't just come up to my kid and be like, oh, that is a tasty little kid, huh? I can just eat you up. Hey, get out of here. Don't make me get the spray bottle, okay? So yeah, this whole delicious thing, you gotta stop, okay? I hope it's one of those things we'll like age out of, you know? Aren't there some like phrases that people have stopped saying, you know? Uh, I just watched the movie Bullet Train. Good movie. Just watched it today. And Brad Pitt's character, Ladybug, he says, yeah, I'm going to whack these guys. And then the agent in his ear was like, did you really just say that? He's like, yeah, I'm bringing it back. I'm going to whack those guys. You know, whack has kind of gone out of fashion, apparently. The same way that calling a baby delicious, first of all, should have never been in fashion. I don't know who started that. Isn't it also crazy to think? That's wild, right? Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. There was a first time that someone ever called a baby delicious. Isn't that so scary? Someone was brave enough to be like, damn, that's a delicious baby. And they said that with like their whole heart, right? They said that with full, you have to say it confidently too. You can't be like, man, that baby's delicious. Huh? The fuck you just say? Shaky ass voice. What'd you say? Say my baby's delicious? Yeah. Oh, no. I was just saying they're cute. Okay, then say that. Use the word cute. Delicious. Fucking weirdo. But yeah, if the first person that said delicious, they had to say that shit confidently. They had to be like, man, aren't you just a delicious baby? And they just got to turn the blinders on. Just make eye contact with the baby. You can't look left or right. You got to be like, no, this is an okay thing I said. You got to just own it in that moment. You ever do that? You ever stutter or like kind of fuck up a word and you just kind of move past that shit? Sometimes it's better just to put the blinders on and just be like, I did it. It's a thing I did. We're moving on. But then enough people called babies delicious to where now fucking moms on Facebook think they can put that shit into text. No, you can't, Deborah. That's illegal, or it should be. In Boy Scouts, we had something called a totem chit. It was for woodworking. It was for your knife. When you do enough knife safety or like you learn enough, you get this paper card. It's called a totem chit. And then when you learn enough about fire, you have a little card called a fireman chit. And if a scoutmaster or, a patrol leader, an older scout, saw you fuck up with a knife or a fire, they would take your card. They'd be like, give me your fireman chit, give me your totem chit. And they would cut a corner off of it. The way it worked was, it's a rectangular card. It's got 4 corners. If they cut off the 4 corners, you lose the chit. Then you got to earn that chit back. You got to take the course again. You got to go through training. You got to understand that you now know how to be safe around a knife and safe around a fire. There should be a parenting chit. No, there should just be a chit. Something like a word chit. And if you say out of pocket shit, I should be able to cut a corner off your chit. And then after I cut 4 corners off, you should, I don't know, have to do like community service. Okay. You should just have something to remember that was not okay. You should have a word chit. Okay. Because some people be using their words a little too loosey goosey and going around being like, oh, I could just eat that baby up. That's a whole buffet. Ew. No, that means you're just going for seconds without any regard for your appetite. I hate that. Don't call a baby an appetite or a buffet. Yuck. Weirdo. Here, give me your word shit. You're done. I'm going to cut 2 corners off for that shit. Anyways. I feel like I spent a lot of time on that. I'm sorry. So someone had to say it. They didn't though. Anytime someone's like, someone had to say it. No, most of the time, no. Or someone has said it. You're not you think you're the first to say a thing? No. I mean, I was the first to be like, well, how are turkeys born? No one's thought about that. No one's ever considered how turkeys are born. Okay, we just eat that bland ass meat 1 day a year. Okay, 2 days, leftovers, always. But let's move on. One thing I thought about is why aren't we more sophisticated about soda? Like when you grow up, people get real sophisticated about wine. And I was like, well, Soda is a drink, right? It's got flavors. Wine has thousands of flavors, right? Every wine is so different. It's like a artisanal experience, right? It's a whole fucking boom of the palate, you know? If you ever drink a wine and you just say that's delicious, that's not you're not doing it justice. You got to give a little more. You got to be like, wow, that's really oaky. You know, that taste really. I love the way it fucking parachutes onto my palate. I don't know. Obviously I haven't done much wine tasting, but I thought about it. I'm like, wait, there's so many flavors of wine, and that's something you would pair with a meal, right? And people love to get real like into the wine culture. But then I was like, I don't really like the taste of wine, right? But then, you know, I finished a glass of cherry Coke the other day, and I held the glass in my hand, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a dark, tasty liquid. It's soda though. It's something I paired with my meal. But there's not that many flavors of soda, right? Like there's really what, like 10, 15 sodas? Like there's predominantly like a handful. You got the Coke, the Pepsi, the root beer, the Sprite, and then there's like Sierra Mist and Dr. Pepper. It's pretty much like 7 to 10 sodas that everyone knows. Mountain Dew, there are only so many. Like you go to these fast food places nowadays and they have one of those really futuristic machines, and it's like you can pick all the flavors. They're little bubbles and it's touchscreen. You just pick the flavor and it's like, do you want to add vanilla, cherry, strawberry flavoring to that? And I'm like, no, this is a water I want. Don't put vanilla in my water. What are you doing? But really, all the different types of sodas, sure, there's flavoring behind each, but all the sodas, they fit on one screen, right? You could never do that with wine. You could never go to a machine and just look at all the wines that are really available. There's just too many. You'll never know. You can try a new wine every day. You'll never be able to try every wine in the world, right? And I was like, how have we not gotten that sophisticated about soda? Everyone loves soda, right? At a young age, everyone tastes a soda and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I think a lot of people like grow out of soda because they're like, this is just straight up sugar and I just burp for the next hour, right? But why haven't we gotten more, sophisticated about soda? Because wine, most people don't even fucking like the taste of wine, but they convince themselves that, oh, that's good, just so they can be a part of the culture. But why don't we take a drink that we actually enjoy, soda, and get creative with it? Why don't we get sophisticated? And everyone likes soda, right? Soda is everywhere. There's so much resale value, right? So why don't we spend more time making different flavors of soda? I feel like if we really thought about it, we could make so many different flavors of soda and have such a broad appeal, right? We could make the next Coke, the next Pepsi, But we're making wine just so moms can drink it and then get on Facebook later that night and be like, oh, that baby is so delicious. I'm like, you're drunk, Deborah. Log off, okay? That's enough. But she had a root beer in her hand, Maybe that wouldn't have happened. But root beer, you got to hand it to them. There's a lot of different root beers, a lot of glass root beers, a lot of different root beers. But Coke, there's just Coke. But even root beer, sure, there's a lot of different types of root beers. But what's the next root beer? We got to find the next root beer. And I feel like no one's putting in the effort, All the different kinds of root beers, sure, give them credit, but they're copycats. They all are root beer at their core. Someone's got to make a new soda, okay? And I don't know why we haven't. Because wine doesn't even fucking taste good. Soda does. Sure, all the people that are, they convince themselves that they're grown up, they'll be like, I don't drink soda. I'm like, yeah, but you gotta admit it's pretty good. It's me. I'm talking about me. I always say, I don't drink soda. I drink like maybe one soda a month. So this month I had a cherry Coke. Kind of forgot. You got to remind yourself. I was like, yep, nope, that's exactly what it tastes like. But I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait, why don't we... Soda's actually enjoyable sometimes. Why don't we make more of this? Because why do we keep making wine just for like adults to be like, yeah, no, that's good. How was that $40? Okay, no, that was a one day of work right there. Cool. Now that's cool. Yeah, fuck my bank account, I guess. But yeah, why don't we spend time making things we enjoy? Why do we make wine? I've never met someone that's like, wine tastes good. They're always just like, no, it's, I mean, it's a cool activity. I'm like, yeah, but does it taste good? Whenever someone talks about wine, it's never like, oh, this wine is good. It's like, well, this doesn't taste that bad. Or this pairs well with this food. I'm like, yeah, but is it good? And they're like, well, you got to eat it with a steak. I'm like, well, no, but look at me, eye to eye. Is it good though? Can you look at me dead in the eye and say, this is enjoyable to drink? Look at me and tell me that wine's delicious. I'm sorry, I can't. I've never met someone that could. But why do we do it? Is it because it's an adult thing to do? Like, do people rent cars just because they can? It's like a flex on their younger self. They're like, yeah, fuck you. When I was younger than 25, I rented a car. Did you need it though? No. But I just wanted to show my younger self that I could. Okay. Weird flex, but okay. I think it's the same thing with wine. We just drink it because we're like, well, at one point in my life, I couldn't do this. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't mean you have to do it now. I can now legally do this. Okay. Doesn't mean you have to. That's like the whole, what, like helmets, right? I don't know. Are helmets legal? I don't fucking know. Let's just go with the idea that helmets were once required by law, you know? And then one day they lifted the helmet ban. I don't know. This isn't real. This is a fantasy I've made up. But let's say one time helmets were the law. You had to wear a helmet. And then one day they lifted the helmet, you know, requirement. That doesn't mean the next day you got to be like, well, now I'm going to ride a bike without a helmet. That's not, no, you don't have to. It's, well, yeah, but it's not a law anymore. I'm like, right, but that's not, you don't, well, okay, sure. I guess you can feel better that you can ride around without a helmet, but that's more unsafe, right? So that's not, you should feel worse. It should offset it. Like the amount of good you feel that it's not like you're not breaking the law should be offset by like the danger you feel that you could just fall and crack your skull open, and then boom, that's your one chance at life you just threw away because a little pebble got caught in your tires. But yeah, just because you can drink wine doesn't mean you have to, you know? Also, wine, I've drank some wine in my day. I feel like it dehydrates you. I don't know if I'm just, a wimp, but I find that wine really dries you out in the mouth region. I always have to, have a water. It feels like Gatorade. I've always heard that Gatorade, there's a theory, a conspiracy, if you may. I've heard that Gatorade just makes you more thirsty. And then it's like an endless thing where it's like, oh yeah, Gatorade makes you thirsty, so you gotta drink more Gatorade. I've thought about it. I'm like, I had this idea the other day. I'm like, what if that's what's happening with lotion? Like lotion actually dries our hands out, so we use more lotion, and then Big Lotion is getting a dub, and we're just idiots, right? You ever think about that? Like we're all like, oh yeah, lotion helps me, but what if it like helps initially and then it fucks up? What if it has like a 4-day effect where it's cool for 3 days and then it like really fucks you up in 3 days, or like on the fourth day? So now you got to use more lotion, and then you're stuck in this cycle of like needing lotion. I'm on to you, Big Lotion. Okay. But yeah, well, wine really dries me out, orally. All right, you can cut a corner off my fucking word card for that one, or my verbal card. Yeah, I shouldn't be allowed to talk. I just said that wine dries me out orally. That's, what an ugly sentence, right? Not as ugly as calling a kid delicious, but it's up there. It's a different flavor of gross. Do you know anyone like that though? Have you ever seen that? You ever see the offense in real life where an adult goes up to a kid and it's like, "Aren't you just so delicious? Aren't you just the tasty little boy?" Sorry, I'm harping on that too much. It just makes me so uncomfortable, man. And you know what? It sickens me more to know that I probably was a victim of it when I was younger. I know there was probably some, I was a cute kid, I was shown around. There had to have been some, mom that was like, oh, he's just a delectable little dude, isn't he? To know that might have happened to me when I was younger, I might have to take a shower after this. The very thought grosses me out, man. I mean, sure, is it nice to be a delectable dude? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, I'm blushing, but stop it. But no, I don't want, it depends who it comes from, right? It's the same thing I talked about. If Gabe were to call me delectable dude, I'd be happy. But if fucking Deborah would, no, fuck that. Deborah, keep your fucking mouth over there, okay? You need to drink more wine. And I'm going to hope it dries you out so orally that you can't fucking speak, because you shouldn't be able to. But that's the thing. Wine, that alcohol, it's that social lubricant. She's gonna start saying even wilder shit. Anyways, I'm sorry that I disappeared for another month. It's what I do. I disappear sometimes. But that doesn't mean I love you any less. Okay? I just need some me time. Okay? Which is funny because this podcast is just me talking to myself. It's the most me time I can get. But there's a difference between, having me time that's completely alone and then other me time. Like sometimes you might be like, get a couple texts, get a couple calls, but I was alone the whole day. I don't see that as me time because I got reached out to by people. Me time is truly like, I am in isolation by myself. Anyways, thanks for spending some time listening to me. And thanks for hearing me out on the whole delicious thing. I really needed someone to talk to in these trying times. So thanks for being an open ear. Thanks for lending me a little lobe of yours. All right, that's the second corner cut off. I'm sorry. Anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'll talk at you next week. Okay? Bye.